got a fair few updates in the house, which, to be honest, I haven't shown you just because I've been so dizzy. Ever since I had my wisdom teeth out, I don't think it's actually to do with that, but ever since I had my wisdom teeth out, I have been dizzy in the evenings. And in the last couple of weeks, it's been actually constant throughout the day, which has been super frustrating, as you can imagine, because I'm trying to help Hal out on the evenings, clearing up, and it's just not happening. Like, I can't do it. I mean, as you can see, we've got no floor over there, and we've also got no floor in our new kitchen, and I can't just get in between the joists and balance and walk around. So it's been really frustrating actually for me to not be able to do this and not be able to help, and to feel basically like I'm slacking, and yeah, it's really annoying. There's not much more to say on it. I've been to the doctors and see what they say. I don't know how to say this lightly, but we had a lot of tree work done, and this is what was taken down so far. I don't know whether you can see here, there's a massive ash tree which is gone. It was about 37 years old, and yeah, it just needed taken down. As you can see how close to the house it was just shadowing the roof and creating problems for us inside. So it was creating damp and a lot of moss on the roof. Sun's just setting, but I had to show you the apple trees, and the holly bush is gone, which is so amazing. Even though I absolutely loved how it looked in kind of midsummer, where all of the trees had the most amazing leaves and the blossom had fallen and the apples were growing, it just seemed like such a wasted space not to have lawn. We are going to stump grind. I don't know whether you can see, this is where the holly was, and you can see just how massive that was. So it's pretty big. But eventually this will all be lawn and flattened out. Unfortunately, we have our septic tank right around here, and there's something behind this rose bush which is basically like a manhole, just so that we can check it. So although it will be flat lawn, there's still going to be quite a few ridges and things. But this is kind of where we see our kids kind of chilling and, you know, kicking around a football and just having a nice time. Up behind the house, up the top of the field, we are planning on replanting an orchard. Not only with apple trees, but also maybe a pear, a proper cherry tree, some plums and some figs. But I don't know how that's going to go with all the birds. We might only get apples. One thing I didn't tell you guys is that we actually had a break-in. This fence isn't massively secure, and you can see the culprits behind. But basically we've taken the fence out temporarily to this trailer to get that in and out, which is filled with all the hardcore of the walls coming down. And that's going to be put to good use by somebody else. But basically the cows worked out that if they rubbed against this fence, that it would come away, and they got in. It's absolutely roasting today. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been a while since I've spoken to you guys last. Yeah, I just haven't had time to do face to camera stuff, and so I thought on my lunch break today I would come and chat to you. So much has happened in the last time I spoke to you guys, and I'll just run through it now. So first off, my dizziness is completely gone. I'm not sure whether I had this conversation with you guys last time or whether I was just in a really bad way. I had my coil out, which has massively helped with the dizziness, as well as spending a lot more time outside. I will say, for anyone who has the coil that hasn't felt like themselves for a long time, then definitely have a think about switching birth control, because I didn't think that for a long time I had felt myself, and yeah, literally like 24 hours after having it out, I was just like back to my normal self and felt much happier and didn't have that kind of like flatline emotion. It was actually like happiness, which I haven't felt since going on the coil the first time, so yeah. Sorry if that's too much information, but I think it's important to talk about. It was far too hot in the sun, so I've moved. So we got our Aga. It's not installed yet, but we managed to get that off eBay, which was just a complete and utter bargain. The guy didn't want to sell it to us, and we paid £270 for it with an eBay voucher. Managed to get it down here using Prestige Cookers, who dismantled it and brought it down, and at the moment it's sat in the barn waiting to be installed, which should be pretty much any day now, really. So that's going to be our main cooking appliance, and will act as tumble dryer, toaster, kettle. I'm just going to chat to you guys about our wood store. Sorry, the birds have suddenly gotten really loud and the wind is moving the wrong way, so you can probably hear traffic in the background. But we built these wood stores out of pallets and just spent an afternoon making sure that we would have enough room for all of the wood that was chopped down. We've still got another 2 trees to come down yet, which are absolutely huge in comparison to what was taken down already. But that means that that will go in our wood burner after it's dried, and that will be a free source of fuel, which is great. The other thing that we're storing in the barn is our beams. So we got these from a local reclamation yard and they got delivered. One of them I'm really happy with, but because they're absolutely huge, you can't necessarily see every imperfection or every side of them when they're in storage. So when they got delivered, we realised that one of them was just absolutely riddled with woodworm, and beyond saving, it was just so soft that as soon as we screwed it into the ceiling, it would just crumble. These will be decorative, so that's not a problem, but didn't make sense for us to keep that beam. So anyway, we had to go get more roof tiles, believe it or not, from another reclamation yard up country. So we drove up there and got the tiles that we needed, and I had a quick look at the beams and fell in love with one there. Didn't buy it and just thought, right, okay, well, it's still going to be there in a couple of weeks' time, so let's just wait and see what our builder thinks of the beams and make sure that we're making the right decision on this. So after the builder saw the beams, he agreed with us and thought that there was no way that they could get that up in one piece. So we went back to the original reclamation yard where we bought them from and said, you know, you haven't got any other beams at the right length for us or long enough to kind of serve their purpose, and we've seen this beam up country. Do you guys kind of deal with them at all or go and collect anything from them? And they said, yeah, absolutely. And somehow they agreed to go and collect it for free, deliver it to us, collect the other beam on their way back, and give us a full refund. Tell me how that makes sense, because to us it just doesn't at all. We can't get our heads around this. But yeah, obviously people are really nice. I don't know whether I showed you quite how much damage the cows had done when they broke into our garden. Obviously we've got divots and cow pats and things everywhere, which is fine, I'm not really bothered about that. But I took out all of the glass of the greenhouse a couple of weeks ago, and we moved the greenhouse beside the summer house, just in the garden still, not in the field. And Hal walked past the morning after they'd broken out and saw them. Oh, I've got a spider on me. And saw one of them in the greenhouse frame. He kind of had to do a double take as he walked past because he looked and didn't really twig, and then looked again and he was like, oh, there's a cow in our greenhouse. So as he was trying to herd it out back into the field, it was very calm, but because of how it had stood on the frame as it got out of the greenhouse, it snapped and bent. So we've got to try and work out a way to fix that because we've got all of the glass for it, and it just makes sense to keep using that greenhouse if we can. We also had our water pipe replaced. I didn't get any footage of this. It was 2 local farmers who came up. We knew that the pipe was broken and had been for a long time because the local farmer had been patching it. But it just made sense to do this before we get the plumbing sorted in the house, because obviously all of the water then coming to the house will be grimy and horrible, and there's no point getting a new boiler or, you know, replumbing the whole house if you're then gonna have dirty water go in it. So that got done, and yeah, I can't wait for that to grow over, to be honest. There's a massive line in our field which, to be fair, you can only see from certain angles, but I think it's noticeable. So we realised that we didn't have any ridge tiles for the dormer section, and that meant that we would have to find pretty much a perfect match to the existing roof. Unfortunately, they don't make the style tile that we had originally on the rest of the roof. Basically, we've got a concrete roof, which was, it's very confusing. So what they did was they had a layer of concrete when they were making the tiles, and then whilst that concrete was wet, they had all of the Cornish slate offcuts and, you know, broken tiles or whatever ground down and put as the top layer that you see, so it's not normal concrete tile. But yeah, we looked around, spoke to loads of different dealers. I think I spoke to like 30 different like tile experts in the southwest and like across the country, and it turns out that they don't make them anymore, and they were really rare because when you removed them they obviously broke quite easily because they're cemented down. So Hal thought he found some on Facebook Marketplace, went to pick them up, they looked exactly the same in the pictures, got there and they were brown, and he was like, okay, well that's not the same at all. And the woman was like, no, they're grey. Hal was like, no, they're definitely brown. Anyway, he bought them anyway because they were cheap, and I set myself the task of painting these tiles. Now, when I tell you that I went into the paint shop and spent a good 3 hours trying to paint match these tiles, where they couldn't scan them because obviously it's an uneven surface, and tried to use the Patone app with a picture, but they couldn't do that either. So I got 3 different paint samples and layered them out on each of the tiles, which took ages. It took so long. Once they were painted, I kind of left them a little bit, thought to myself, they don't look right, they're kind of too blue. So I decided, right, here, I'll spread some soil on them and rub that in and kind of see whether that works better. It did help mute the blueness of the grey, but it didn't do the job perfectly. Oh, it's a cow. I was wondering what that was. So that got me thinking, and obviously we've got cows in the field, so I went, and I'm not going to show you this because it was disgusting. I went and picked up a load of fresh cow poo and kind of put a paintbrush in it and dabbed that all over the tiles, trying to make it look as authentic as possible. And they look great. I'm really, really impressed with them. They work, so that's wicked. It just feels like things have really started to move now on the house, and it's been tricky to film it all because there are some times where you're there like, okay, well I've got to go do this now, and you forget your camera and you remember it halfway through and you're there like, I'm halfway through, do I really want to be going out, getting my camera, setting it up at different angles, and that's slowing me down. So I think in the next video you will see quite a massive change in everything that's happened. But that is all for today. I'm not going to bore your pants off anymore. It's just been explaining a lot of what's been going on really. And yeah, I can't describe how different I feel this week to how I felt 3 weeks ago. So yeah, anyway, enough rambling. I'll speak to you later. Bye.